January 5th, and meeting of the Capital Improvement Committee. We'll do this normal Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we don't have minutes from our previous meeting.
No, I just put that in.
All right, so we'll bypass any minutes on that. So, Rich, the agenda is to approve the $775,000 for the purchase of that fire engine.
Correct.
All right, so I'm going to turn it over to you. You can explain what we need to do here.
All right. I'm gonna take a second, and I'm gonna get a running start for this for everyone's benefit. We want to go through and demonstrate how things work. The town of Dudley has a capital improvement planning committee which sort of vets projects. The size and the scope of the projects are listed out in the bylaw. All of these projects get brought before the capital improvement. We're the group that goes through and gets down to the nuts and bolts, pardon the pun, of these larger projects. We go through and sort of ladder out and create a capital improvement plan. The plan is a multi-year financial planning spreadsheet forecasting tool. When the capital improvement would approve the project, seeing its merits, would try to put it in a place where it makes sense in anticipation of some other items. Vote that plan almost as a snapshot, forwarded to the Board of Selectmen, ultimately the FAA, for their approval. That's what the bylaw calls for. The Board of Selectmen go through and, in their wisdom, lay out what should be bought by the limited resource, which is the funding. Town meeting goes through and approves the funding. Also, the FAA gives their recommendation. The reason we're having this meeting, and it's going to be very short tonight, is anytime we borrow more than $500,000 in a single article, or there is a town meeting which has $500,000 worth of borrowing in aggregate, bond counsel goes through and says, show me all of the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. So I get a sheet from bond counsel that says, we want a copy of the meeting minutes from the capital improvement. We want the posting. We want the votes to approve. We want everything going right down so that there's never a question on anything. We've done this a few times. Bond counsel has gone back and said, we need to memorialize how we got here. So something as simple as the meeting posting, listing out an individual agenda item which says, in this case, $775,000 for a fire truck contingent on a debt exclusion vote. Actually, I don't think the capital improvement needs to have that, but so we need to demonstrate that it appears that it was voted in the affirmative at a particular meeting and placed on the capital improvement planning committee and then accepted by the Board of Selectmen at one of their meetings. Does that make sense?
Makes sense to me. Anybody have any questions?
Okay. John, Kendra,
Yep, makes sense.
have I lost you?
No.
So, Rich,
Oh,
go ahead.
I could talk for 2 hours on it.
Yeah, I know.
And I didn't want to get too deep of a dive, but just think, when was the one, if you applied for a home equity line of credit, they're going to ask all of these questions because bond counsel doesn't necessarily represent the bank specifically, but the bank in general. They're the ones that raise their hand and say, the town of Dudley has gone through and checked all of the boxes. And one of them that needs to be checked is going to be the approval of the fire truck, memorialized specifically in the minutes and included on the plan from the Capital Improvement Committee.
Okay. So, Rich, so what was missing in this whole process? Because I remember a bid coming to us for the fire truck that was submitted.
Yeah.
I remember it being about $750.
Right.
Okay, so the
Right.
change was the increase up to $775, correct?
Correct.
Is that what we're approving that we didn't come back and approve?
I believe in the fall of 21, this had come up, and I don't believe it was ever almost line by line. There should be a posting of the agenda that says, item number 5 is approval of
Okay.
this item in the dollar amount of.
Okay, because I do remember Dean coming in and
Correct.
he brought in some paperwork and amended his request to $775.
Right, and I think.
But I don't know, I thought we approved it on the 5-year plan, but we didn't have like a,
Right.
we didn't have a,
So.
okay.
That's an interesting point, and not to extend the meeting much longer, but for everyone's sake, there is a big difference between the capital plan, where Jeff Murray, the highway superintendent, says, 3 years from now, I need to spend $100,000 to buy a big loader. You approve it, it is placed on the Capital Improvement Planning Committee almost as a placeholder, if you would, as opposed to the fire truck, which was approved to be moved forward and acted upon like for the Board of Selectmen.
Okay.
There will be items, I guarantee you there's an item from the library 5 years from now, and it's a best guess on what it's going to cost to repair fill in the blank. 25 computers at $100, $1,000 each, or
Okay.
$2,000 each.
So,
We need to, yeah.
yes,
Okay.
so for bond council, all you're looking for us is to vote to borrow the $775 for a fire truck.
Not specifically to borrow, but to affirm the purchase
Okay.
of the $775 as was,
Of engine 3.
as was previously approved. There's no modifications. I think in my mind, it's the reaffirmation that needs to be memorialized in these minutes.
All right, so give us your best motion on this. and maybe one of us will say so moved.
Okay, all right. I would make the motion to reaffirm the vote for, what's the fire truck? It is,
Number 3.
ladder,
Engine 3.
Engine 3.
to replace engine 3 at a cost of $775,000.
Is that it?
As
Okay.
as presented by, Fire Chief Dean Kochanowski.
Mm-hmm.
Michelle, did you have a date? I'm sorry, I don't have much in front of me as far as a previous meeting minute. But if you could, there was a discussion for it, would it have been an April meeting?
It was an April
Early
4th. April 4th.
April 4th, yep.
Yeah.
To reference that, as presented by and approved on April 4th,
Okay.
at the April 4th meeting?
All right. So we have a motion, you read a motion, does anybody wanna so move this?
Do we have to add that to the capital plan, Rich, or is that already on there?
So that's, so the board, the capital improvement planning committee would approve it,
Yeah,
approve it moving forward. Someone else, we'd have the vote.
Yeah.
We're all sitting here smiling, saying it would be in the affirmative. The next vote would be to add it to the capital plan for the fiscal 2023 budget year, and to forward the updated plan to the Board of Selectmen for their acceptance.
So on the first motion that you,
The first motion.
I have, John said so moved on that.
Right,
So-
so we're
so-
reaffirming that the 775 is a righteous purchase,
Right.
and the capital improvement planning committee would like to see it move forward.
So on that motion that you read that John moved, we just need a second on that, so.
Correct.
So we do have a second from Kendra. All right, is there any discussion on that motion?
Can I just ask, this 775, what are the odds that it goes up when we actually get the truck spec'd out? Is that the final number, or is there room for it to continue growing?
No, that's the final number, because that was what was approved at the town meeting. Yep.
I think the vendors lock in. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, if there is an adjustment to that down the road, like there was with the fire station, there was an adjustment, right?
You wanna
Then you gotta come back for town meeting for that.
Flexibility of having that vote, but.
Well, it doesn't matter now, because it was already approved at 775 for a debt exclusion, so.
Correct.
So if we have to come back for some reason, we will, but,
And this was on the ballot.
Yes.
yeah, it was on the
yeah, this was
ballot.
already on the ballot,
It
yeah.
was on the ballot, it was passed.
Yeah.
So, any other discussion on the 775? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all right, unanimous. All right, you said you wanted another motion to add this to the capital plan?
Yes.
Okay.
For the fiscal 2023 budget.
So I believe we already did that, though. That's been done.
You approved the capital plan.
We approved the
Hold on,
so this
hold
was
on.
already done.
Can we go back? There, if we didn't have something specifically authorizing this, memorialized in a set of minutes,
Mm-hmm,
logic would dictate it could not have appeared on the capital plan.
okay, so
So you know what I mean?
So- why don't you give us, your version of a motion to add this to the capital plan? All right,
You just did.
My sample motion would be, I vote to add the fire truck engine 3 replacement in the amount of $775,000 to the FY 2023 portion of the capital improvement plan for resubmission to the Board of Selectmen. Nice move.
Yeah.
you got that, Michelle?
The idea that you're including it for this year's budget
Yeah,
for submission to the Board of Selectmen.
Yep,
we got that?
I do.
Okay, does anybody wanna move Rich's,
So moved.
All right.
okay? We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we got a second, any discussion on that?
So,
See no discussion, we will vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. All right, unanimous. All right, Rich, is there anything else bond council's gonna need from us?
I appreciate your patience. We really would want to see the acceptance of the updated plan that includes this in the next Board of Selectmen's meeting. I know the meeting for the Board of Selectmen's already been posted, so we'd have to go to the next one.
FAA doesn't need to vote on any of this, right?
No.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anything else, Rich?
No, I appreciate everyone's patience for this. You had mentioned Partridge Hill and Tobin Farms,
Yeah,
which is a horse of another color. I don't know whether or not the Capital Improvement Planning Committee would need that to be approved. It's sort of its own little issue, but I don't think it's going to be super timely to go through and.
I believe we've already added that to the plan.
You already added that to the plan?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
both
right.
of those, because we had bids, the highway superintendent came in and gave us bids
Okay.
on all 3 roads that were being done. So I believe that's already been approved and on the capital plan, so,
Even better, that's
okay?
wonderful.
Okay, anything else?
Thank you. I guarantee you the next time we go through this, we're gonna have a little framework in place, so we won't have to revisit anything.
Good,
So,
good.
appreciate everybody's patience on a Thursday night.
All right, all right, so, we don't have anything else on the agenda other than any new business. Does anybody want to bring anything up before we adjourn? Rich,
Sure.
are you aware of any new capital projects gonna come hit us for water and sewer? So we can kind of get a jump on that stuff before they just throw it in our face at the very last second?
As of today, I don't know of anything. Again, and I don't want to speak out of school, you had $200,000, which was supposed to be for the survey of lead services, or, the potential of, any problems. I have not heard of any.
Have you paid that out yet? Have you paid him for that? I don't want to get into finance too much, but have you paid him for that?
I don't believe any of that has started yet. I don't know. And I don't have the ability right now. I could see if it,
I mean, do you cut the check, or is the department head cut the check for that? You do,
Well,
right?
there's a lot of checks that go out to tie and bond, and a lot of the tie and bond checks could be, call it $50,000, and it could be 10 for this, 15 for that, and 25 for something else. So we kind of need to get into the nitty gritty of it. There should be an article that approved it from this fall town meeting. And if we go onto the town's website, we should be able to see the $200,000 authorized, and if any money has been drawn out of it. Actually,
If you could do me a favor, I mean, again, I don't want to get into finance, but if you can do me a favor and check on that.
no, we should be able to do that. Let me.
And don't forget, he's gotta get us the $100,000 back. He's gotta fill out a form, and he was gonna do that immediately. Remember the urgency of them getting the 200,000?
Yeah.
And then he said he was gonna fill out the form to get the $200,000 back. And I haven't heard anything from anybody on that one, so
Yeah.
if you get a chance. Is there anything else? Anybody got any questions or anything? And Rich, I probably will see if we can't do a meeting, before we get close to the budget season. Maybe something late January or early February, where we can kind of
Yeah.
do a review of our 5-year plan from all the departments, so that we can bring, John and Kendra up to speed on what all the requests are. And then maybe we can find out what kind of things are gonna be changed or amended on that 5-year plan, so we can kind of get a little jump on that.
Right. So, you know, lead service article 20 from 10/20/22, 200,000, nothing's been spent on it yet.
Okay.
Doesn't look like they've done anything. And that's as of,
That's what I
well,
thought.
it's as of 12/21, so.
Yeah.
For what it's worth.
Yeah, we couldn't read anything, had to vote immediately, but they don't do anything with it, and that's just lovely. Okay, thank you, Rich.
Thank you.
Anything else? Does anybody want a motion for,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
all right. So moved.
You.
Good night.
Good night, Rich.
Thanks.
Take care.